Hello and welcome to Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks. I'm your paleontology/geology teacher, and it's time for Monday Musings. Well, this is fun. My earrings are not being registered by the green screen. Today we're going to be talking about the Great Devonian Controversy, which was a debate and a disagreement between geologists about the placement of certain rocks around Devon, England. Now, it started in 1834 when Henry de la Beche was doing some survey work in Devon. If you want to know more about de la Beche, you can actually check out last Thursday's video. It's all about him. He found some fossils in the Culm, which is a Carboniferous coal formation north of Dartmoor. That he believed were typical for late Carboniferous deposits. So he found fossils that he was like, hey, these belong in the Carboniferous period, so that must be how old these rocks were. But he found them in fossils deep in a gray well, which was known to be much older than that of the Carboniferous. So what the heck was going on? Now, the other geologist involved was Roderick Murchison, and he disagreed heartily. I also have a video on him for a Throwback Thursday back in when I did the Cambrian period. So that would have been last October? I can't remember. Just go look for Cambrian videos, you'll find him in there somewhere. Now, he believed that the Culm must be more recent, otherwise those fossils wouldn't be there. Now, de la Beche said that Murchison couldn't know anything as he had never set foot out there, and his dismissiveness of fieldwork in favor of his speculative theory was preposterous. Talk about shots fired. So annoyed, de la Beche sought help from fellow geologist Adam Sedgwick, of which I also have a video of. Again, I can't remember when I did it. His would have been for the Silurian period, which would have been back in April. Yes, I think it was April. And George Greno? I'm not sure how he pronounced his name because it changes in England how you say O-U-G-H, and it kind of annoys me. Pick a pronunciation and stick to it, man. Anyway, he went to these two for help because both science and de la Beche's reputation were at stake, and he had some stuff to prove. Now, at de la Beche's urging, both Murchison and Sedgwick went to the site to look for themselves at the rocks, and they decided that de la Beche had to have made a mistake. Sorry to interrupt, but do you like what you're seeing so far? Excellent. You can help me make more videos and improve the quality in two ways. One is that you can check out my Etsy shop where you can get cool swag like this t-shirt and other cool things with this fun logo on it. The second is to join my Patreon. I have a lot of cool things planned out, like reaction videos, parody songs that I've been working my butt off to write, a video on the geology of north central Montana that we teach to all of our participants who dig with us at the Montana Dinosaur Center. You should totally join us next summer. It's so much fun. And Minerals, Rocks, and Fossil Talks Junior for all your kiddos at home. Plus, you join the Patreon, you'll be able to join me on Discord, where you can see all the new papers in the field that are published all the time. And you'll be able to make video suggestions, get access to short college-level geology classes, and so much more. So, seriously, help me out. Check them out. Okay, back to your normal programming. This layer that he'd been looking at was not lying low on the rocks, but instead sitting in a trough. So it would have made a trough, a dip. They assumed that, in this case, the rocks had to have been lying on an unconformity. And they're basing it off of this unconformity, which is Hutton's unconformity, where you have, you can see the red rock slanting this way, and then there's rocks that are gray going that way. So those gray ones that are going that way, those are Silurian gray-wacky rocks. And then the red ones going this way are Devonian old red sandstone. So they're different aged rocks with a gap of time in the middle. Anyway, they couldn't find a nonconformity like this down in Dartmoor, which was kind of embarrassing. And they were like, okay, what? So who was right? Were they all just seeing what they wanted to see and not what was actually there, or was something else going on? Murchison wanted the culm to be young, hence it had to be on top of all the other old layers, and preferably separated from them by a nonconformity like we see in Scotland. Dillabesh, on the other hand, had no such theoretical preconceptions, thus he considered himself to be the more impartial observer. So, they both had some stakes to claim in all of this. Now, Dillabesh claimed, and his opinion was shared by most geologists, that structural geology, i.e. dating based on stratigraphy, took precedence over fossils. In other words, structural stratigraphy, being the most basic and logically inescapable, could serve as falsifier should it be contradicted by the fossil's present. Now, this is a good argument at the time because, after all, who would be matching fossils across the world? Clearly, fossils were not a valid means of dating rocks. Now, Murchison had very different thoughts. Dating rocks using fossils would significantly simplify and speed up the process of geological identification and was more convenient than having to check the mineralogy, the structures, and other geologic markers in a rock. In particular, it would make identifying rocks that could contain coal much easier, and at the time, they didn't actually realize more than just the Carboniferous period contained coal beds. So I'm hoping you can see some of the fallacies of both of their arguments. If not, I'm going to pull this up again, because right now, for most of you, you probably are not geologists. So if you look at this, can you tell me which of those layers is the top layer? Probably not. And even for people trained like me, this would be a difficult thing to figure out because of the way everything is folded and crumpled and all of that. So using just the structural geology may not necessarily be the best way to do the dating. But we also can't just look at fossils because sometimes the fossils are found in multiple layers, and that can just convolute things. We need both, which is what we do today. So, anyway, beyond that. Now, because there was a lack of a nonconformity, Murchison struggled with this, and Dillabesh was kind of hanging on the hopes that he could still be proven right because that nonconformity didn't exist and all this. However, Murchison had a brilliant idea. This guy here was like, you know what? There's not a nonconformity. I just have to accept it. But those rocks below what we're looking at are not the age we thought they were. They're not Cambrian rocks. We can tell because of the fossils that are in there. But maybe it's something in between. And so he created the Silurian period. Haha. He even got Sedgwick to join him in an authorship to prove that this was not a localized thing either, that the Silurian was a real thing, a new time period that could be located elsewhere. So the two of them set out to identify the same layers in other countries and get incontestable evidence that this new time period had been sandwiched between the Cambrian and the Carboniferous. Now, it took some time, like 6 years or something like that, but eventually he found what he was looking for in Russia. And funny enough, it was the fossils that cinched his position that he was right. Early fishes, arthropods, and plants can be found in various layers, allowing for correlation between stratigraphic units. In fact, the rocks were so well defined in Russia that a new time period was erected for the old red sandstone unit, the Devonian period. So this whole controversy brought out 2 new time periods that we hadn't had before, which is wild, but also a lot of fun. So you can see how important it is to go out and do field work. Fun times. Well, thanks for coming to today's lesson, and I hope that you tune in tomorrow for some fun Devonian trivia, and I will fossilise you later.